Hello and welcome. GPVWC in 2025. It's already February and we're here for the pre-season test in Formula Sprint 2, the bottom rung of the GPVWC ladder. And well, safe to say that all of the contestants for the upcoming season getting ready to prove their worth, getting ready to show what they can do as we get going here in Imola. We have already got a little bit of this session underway. There's an hour and 12 minutes left on the clock as you join us now live on the broadcast. There's still plenty of interesting things to look to, plenty of new faces, plenty of familiar faces, and of course a new car to look forward to as well as we try to unpick what could be the story in 2025. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, alongside me, Carlos Martin and Lorenzo Terovic-Funcic for all of today's action as well. We kickstart 2025 here in GPVWC, and boy oh boy, here at Imola, what a way to get things going. Some big names on this grid in FS2 this year, some big teams, some new faces, some familiar faces, and sure to be all of the classic racing action as we normally see in Grand Prix Virtual Championship racing. Lorenzo, Carlos, great to have you boys alongside me to bring us all of the action for the next hour and 10 minutes. Again, going to be a bit more of a chill commentary session here in the commentary booth than I think we're normally used to, but it should be very exciting. Lorenzo, let's start with you. Why not? How are you feeling? How are we looking going into 2025?
Well, I'm feeling quite alright. I'm happy to be here for 2025, and I'm really excited to looking forward to the Formula Sprint 2 2025 season after the very exciting 2024 season where both of the championships went all the way down to the last round in Brazil, and hopefully have more of that this year as well.
Absolutely, we will. And again, same thing to you, Carlos. Great to have you back alongside me. And yeah, how are we feeling? It's been a while since I saw you at GPVWC today. Hopefully you've recovered from your illness as well when you missed out on coming to Manchester. I'm still missing you being there. But yeah, how are you feeling? Looking forward to another fantastic year of GPVWC.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long preseason, even though we just ended the season just a tiny bit more than 2 months ago. It feels like a long way already, and we want to be in this competition as soon as we can. And competition is starting pretty soon. It's in early March that we're starting all the competitions from Academy up to Super League, and today's test basically is just like a small warm-up for everybody to just start trying the car. It's like a notice for those who didn't really start testing, really start preparing the season, to just have a heads up. And actually in my GPVWC debut in 2023, this test was quite useful for me because it made me notice that I was quite slow compared to the grid, and it's very useful if you are sleeping already in this preseason to actually have a small heads up and say, hey, this is starting and you have to prepare for round one and for the whole season.
Absolutely, and well, you're not that slow, Carlos. You're a Super League race winner, but maybe at the time you thought it would be. Again, it's the preseason.
I got demolished. I got 2 seconds of the pace, and I couldn't go below that lap time. No, it was a reality check, and I think for some drivers today might be the case, and then it can benefit them to decrease the gap or even lead these gaps into round one.
Well, at least you are good enough to actually race in GPVWC, unlike some of us, yours truly, in the commentary box. Let's have a little look. I don't know if we have a calendar graphic. I'll just quickly ask Remco de Zeeuw on the cameras if we have a calendar graphic, and if one comes up, then it will, but I don't think that's going to be a no. So I'll just run through it vocally for you anyway. Again, it's the first stream of the year, it's the first broadcast, it's a pre-season test. We're kind of taking things by ear and seeing how it goes. But let's run through the calendar for Formula Sprint 2 in 2024. We kick things off properly in a month's time, actually. 5th of March, we head to Melbourne, Albert Park in Australia for the first round of the season. Then it's to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, the Corniche Street Circuit on the 19th of March. Then we're going to Suzuka on the 2nd of April, followed by the Shanghai International Circuit on the 16th of April, a track that's not always beloved in real life, but in sim racing always seems to whip up something special. There's Nirayan Kumar getting a bit off the track there. 5th round of the season, 30th of April, heading to the track that we see here before us, San Marino, the Autodromo de Enzo Edina Ferrari, best known to us lot as Imola. Then we're heading to Canada and the Gilles Villeneuve Circuit, Montreal on the 14th of May. Then there is a spring break, a month gap before round 7, where we're going to Barcelona, Catalonia. Then round 8, halfway mark of the season, to the Red Bull Ring in Austria, Spielberg on the 25th of June. Stepping over the halfway mark, 9th of July, heading to Silverstone for the British round, a staple here in GPVWC. Then a big change for the German round, 23rd of July, we're going to Hockenheim. That should be very, very interesting to see how that unfolds. Then on the 6th of August, round 11, heading, of course, to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Then the summer break, another month break, so 2 big month breaks here in GPVWC in 2025. So gives the drivers a chance to rest and recuperate, splits everything up quite nicely into little gaps. Heading back from the summer break, going to Monza on the 3rd of September. Then we're going to Baku on the 17th of September, the 13th round, 14th round, another classic of GPVWC. We're going to Singapore, and I tell you what, I'm going to ignore that because I've actually just realised I'm looking at last year's calendar. So you know what? Someone else talk for 30 seconds while I
will say that the season starts the 4th of March.
I was going to say, as I was looking at all of that and thinking that some of this doesn't seem right, because I know there's a few rounds that have definitely changed. Carlos, take over for 30 seconds while I find the actual correct calendar.
You were not so far off. You were just 1 day in advance. It's basically, I didn't want to, when you said the 5th of March, I said, no, it's not even worth to actually change it. But what is important, FS2, it's always on Tuesdays. And this was the case last year as well. And we're starting in the same track as we started last year in Australia on March 4th. Then we head to Istanbul, which is the track which wasn't in the calendar last year. This is a track which will offer a lot of battling and overtaking. The famous turn 8 is not a really heavy, dirtier corner, so it will offer a lot of overtakes in the upcoming straights. And then we will see the Japanese Grand Prix Classic and the Jeddah Street Circuit, which is, I think, a fantastic addition to the GPVWC calendar since it was added. I think it brings a really nice challenge from the driver's perspective and actually pretty interesting racing. So that's a good thing. And then we head to Barcelona and then to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is a bit of a special layout. It's a combination of the 2005 layout and the current Indy layout. So you will need to check on that. Then we will head to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve at Canada. Then Silverstone, another classic. And then this year we are swapping German tracks. Instead of doing Hockenheim like we did last year, this year we go to Nürburgring, and we will race there. Then we will have Spa-Francorchamps like we had last year, but with the detail that this year it will be the DLC content. Where the DLC are available, we will use it. And same goes for the Italian Grand Prix, that we will use it. But before the Italian Grand Prix, we will do, before the break, the Hungarian Grand Prix, and then the Mexican Grand Prix, Singapore, Brazil, and we will finish this year the season at Abu Dhabi, which comes back this year from last year not being in the calendar.
Yeah, a bit of controversy on that one with Brazil being switched from the last round. Typically, Sao Paulo is our traditional end of the season in GPVWC, but you know, at the end of the day, that's what the league organisers have decided what's best. As there we see, going straight into the barrier goes Filip Chavinsky for Potentia Grand Prix. So that's your actual calendar if you ignore everything that I previously said. And as you said, Carlos, again, some DLC tracks being added this year. A few changes as well. I think the United States to Indianapolis instead of the Circuit of the Americas. That's going to create some real interest. Circuit of the Americas was a very much a fan favourite here in GPVWC. Always caused some chaos. So yeah, slightly different calendar. Carlos got it right. I got it wrong. What a way to start off 2025. But should be very, very interesting nonetheless. Again, that was all dropped at GPVWC Day in Warsaw at the back end of 2024. But nonetheless, even with all the changes, it's sure to be a fantastic year heading into 2025. Lorenzo, heading into this year then, what do you think we can expect? What are the big changes to be looking forward to? What, you know, is there any teams or any drivers got on? Again, of course, with Formula Sprint 2, it's the first step onto the GPVWC career ladder, so things are always chopping and changing at this level. But there's still a lot of excitement to be had heading into this year.
Well, I can say that we've seen some new teams come into FS2, and we've seen some returning teams. We've seen Zeeuw, triple Super League champions, return back to the GPVWC career ladder for the first time since 2006. So the last time Zeeuw were on the GPVWC grid, I was literally just born. So that's something I'm looking forward to. We've had some new teams as well. We have Potentia GP, owned by Joshua Dexter. Orbit Motorsports, I think I'm saying that right. First Bulgarian team ever in the GPVWC ladder. We have Blue Horns, who are an Austrian-based team, not German. And we have Venus, who are the first, I would like to say, team in the GPVWC ladder to have a fully female driver lineup.
Yeah, absolutely correct. That Venus Motorsports, the first all-female team, not just driver lineup, but female-owned, female-operated as well in GPVWC. So great to see that they're, you know, been able to really kind of push gender boundaries in sim racing. Again, much like real world motorsport, unfortunately it's very much a male dominated space, but great to see that we are getting more women involved in that. Haven't got the full driver lineup for Venus with us here today, unfortunately. Caitlin Penny, our beloved commentator and one of Venus's drivers, unfortunately wasn't able to make this test, so she is being subbed in for this evening. She'll be subbed in for, I believe, by Alice Stone, I want to say, isn't it? Charlotte Minnick is driving for them. I believe I want to say it's actually Caroline Harvick, should I say, we're actually watching now. So Caroline Harvick's jumped in the car alongside Charlotte Minnick, but Caitlin Penny will be the driver that will be mainly driving in the car that we're seeing on screen at the moment. So great to see Venus Motorsport, and again, they were so excited when they got the confirmation they were getting their license, they were getting their entry into Formula Sprint 2 this season. And again, great to see the push for more women in sim racing. And you know, this is I feel the first real step in GPVWC. Yes, we've had some fantastic female drivers before, but this is the first real step. You know, the first all-female team, not just in drivers, but in ownership, in management, that we're seeing coming through. So that's fantastic to see. And well, we're seeing as well, Medic doing a great job at the moment in this test. P11 as it stands, with just under an hour left on the clock. As I say, that P12 as Dominic Scarpelli slides into P10, 9/10 off the pace at the moment. But a good start there for the Dutch driver. And as I say, that also runs off the road a little bit as well, coming out of the hairpin there down at Villeneuve. Again, sometimes you do get this a little bit in the pre-season test. It does end up turning into a glorified hot lapping session. As always with sim racing, pre-season tests, it's not something that we have restricted like you see in real-world motorsports nowadays, where you get, you know, for example, in Formula 1, you get 2 pre-season tests and that's it. That's your testing done for the season. You get a filming day, which is unofficially a test. It's sim racing, you can kind of just do laps and laps and laps anytime you feel free, anytime you want, anytime that you have the time. But this is the first chance that we're seeing in 2025 that all the teams are on track together, where you can really kind of get a gauge for where everybody is. And as you said, Lorenzo, a lot of new teams coming in, and some familiar faces returning, some different faces, some new teams as well. Good to see that VMS Sunedit's Racing, they're back in FS2. They spent last year in Formula Sprint 1, decided that they'd like to return to their normal pastures and back to what is familiar. Orbit Motorsports were the first Bulgarian team in GPVWC, so great to see them here. And Reading Game Studios, they are still here. They've just been renamed their RGS Racing now. Again, same team, all the same stuff. They've just renamed, shortened it down a bit for some modernity or something along those lines. And again, Venus, Potentia, Orbit, Blue Horns, all new teams here in 2025. So it should be very interesting to see how that all unfolds. And Blue Horns, I will just say while we're here, Blue Horns Racing, I believe they've been registered as a German team originally by accident. They are from Austria. They've got an all-German lineup. Jorn Dix, who's also the team boss, and Florian Haas, who's a quality driver if you know your GPVWC racing. So it's an all-German lineup, but they are based out of Austria, and that's where they'll be doing their functioning. So I believe there was just a little bit of an admin problem. I think everyone just saw all the German flags propping up, but they are an Austrian team. So it should be interesting to see. It must be said that for a Formula Sprint 2 grid, again, this is the first step on the GPVWC ladder, as I've been saying time and time again. A lot of the times you see new faces coming through. Most of the times, you know, it's drivers really trying to etch their name into sim racing, trying to show what they can do. But this is a very, very strong grid. There's some fantastic drivers out there going into 2025. And we've got Mikel Tamala for Scuderia Cab Clay, Craig Patterson for Priority 1 Esports. We've got Magnus Ockenhaug over at Hunter Birch. Looking through who else we've got. James Knox, he's currently sat top of the table. A driver who's been around a little bit in GPVWC, not done anything to really stamp his name down, but doing an impressive job so far in this test session. Mihailo Vicentijevic for ST Racing, that's a huge name. The likes of Justin van der Smissen and David De Vries, they've been around in sim racing for a long old time, despite their youthful age over at VMS Sunedits. Florian Haas, as I just said, at Blue Horns. Amari Watson stepping in for Orbit Motorsports, the Bulgarian squad. Jack Mayer, he's jumping in for Potentia Grand Prix so far. He's signed up for this season. Again, Formula FS2 and FS1 champ, decided to go back to FS2, fair enough. He's alongside Domenico Scapelli as well. Ridiculous lineup. That's how that wouldn't be out of place in Superlights. And they're here in Formula Sprint 2, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Well. Don't go that hard on Domenico. Don't go that hard on Jack.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Well, I mean, I'm just like, they do a very good job in Super League. Don't get me wrong, Carlos, but you know, I'm just saying in Superlights they demolish everybody. But they're here in Formula Sprint 2. It's an absolutely outrageous lineup. So you know, for a team at this level of GPVWC, and we're seeing Craig Patterson as well doing laps at the moment for Priority 1. Again, another fantastic driver. We could be, I mean, Carlos, we could be in for a fantastic year. And potentially one of the strongest Formula Sprint 2 grids we've ever seen straight out of the bat. And as I say that, Craig Patterson goes straight over the gravel trap at Tamburello. But, I mean, just looking at some of the names we've got here, Carlos, it's looking like it's going to be a very, very strong 2025.
Well, I'm not the most acknowledgeable analyst for the FS2 grid. I watched most of the races last year, but I didn't go too much into the detail. But there were some drivers that I would say they will stand out and probably fight for the championship. And I want to save myself about Jack Mayer. Of course, if Jack ends up racing, he will be the ultimate favorite without a doubt. He's raced, well, he's won FS2, he's won FS1, and he's raced last year in Superlights and winning at least one race. Yeah, I think he won one race last year. And but taking a bit Jack out of the formula, let's say. James Knox, of course. Well, I mean, he's leading right now the charts, but James Knox was already in my numbers. He did a fantastic job last year. I think he was a bit inconsistent, but the potential was actually there. And then when I see the rest of the grid, I was thinking Junior as well, Junior, that we actually have on camera right now. I was thinking Falkenhayn, Czerwinski. I think he can also be really good. And I was thinking on these guys, and I want to see a bit more from Joe Gillette. I think he showed 2 promising seasons, and I think this is the moment for him to have a breakout season and probably fight for this championship and then aim for more. I mean, I'm not sure if it's his 2nd or 3rd season already in 100 Budge, so I think he's feeling comfortable in the environment he is right now, and I think this year could be a breakout year for him as well. So these are the more or less names when I think about the championship. Maybe I'm missing someone that right now I don't have in my mind. But these names are, for me, the guys to go right now. And I'm not surprised. Also Kaspar Kuritz, I think it's also a guy who can take main races. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward, and it matches with me what I'm seeing from the preseason test with what my mind already was telling me before. But probably someone more knowledgeable like Lorenzo in the FS2 grid than I am can give us his hindsight.
Well, I do agree with most of the people you've listed, but I would also like to point out that Team RNG this season has a fairly strong lineup in Ben Skinner, the Englishman, and the Dutchman Thijs Jongstra, who both did fairly well last season, having joined the FS2 grid around the halfway point of the season, a little bit later. Ben Skinner admittedly being the better of the 2 drivers result-wise, both in FS2 and in Academy, even though he's done less races in Academy than Thijs Jongstra. But I do think that they'll do really well this season, as well as Scuderia Freccianera, who last season I know they had some issues with drivers not turning up, drivers not being able to find drivers. But this season, I think they have a very, very strong lineup in Serbian driver Damir Kuratko and Scotsman Josh Flynn, who both proved their worth in Academy as well as FS2 last season. Josh Flynn joining later than Damir Kuratko, but both of them proving that they are very much on pace with the rest of the FS2 grid, and that they will be battling for consistent points unless they have really, really bad luck, which I don't think will happen, and I do hope it won't happen.
Should be interesting to see. Part of the joy of pre-season testing is that, again, it's a very casual broadcast. Anything can happen, and we've got our first interview of 2025 ready to go. It's going to be Jörn Dix, the team boss over at Blue Horns. Jörn, first of all, can you hear us? Let's ask away.
Yes, I can.
Yes, fantastic. Well, hello, welcome to the commentary box. Great to have you here. You are our first interview of 2025 in GPVWC, so congratulations for that. So, yeah, I mean, Blue Horns Racing, you guys, obviously you're not new to GPVWC, but Blue Horns, you're a new team to GPVWC. Yourself, you know, you're the team boss and driver. Talk to us a little bit about the team, about yourself. How do you feel this test has gone so far as well?
I would say it has gone good so far. The car feels much more fun than last year, to be honest. I had some difficulties with it, and motivational problems came with it. But so far, it's much more fun. It does what it does. It's much more predictable. Of course, a bit easier then, and that makes it good. And so far, it's good, really.
That's great to hear, my friend. And, well, again, it's a new car this year, new season, new team for you as well. We're currently following your teammate Florian Haas around, currently running in P14. What are your hopes this season for the team? You know, where are you aiming to be at the end of the season in the championship standings?
It's really difficult to say because the grid, as you said on stream earlier, is very, very well packed with good drivers, and it's hard to predict it. I would be very glad in the end if my team would be in the top 10 at the season standings, having scored maybe double-digit points, not like last year with me and Flo. So that would be cool. And to be honest, then just enjoying the season. That's the main goal. But of course, maybe top 10 in this Constructors' Championship.
Now, there is one question that is pressing me. You're an all-German squad, but the team is based out of Austria. Why? Is that a thing, or is that... I know there's a bit of confusion over that. Is that a strategical basing out of Austria, or is it just because you can, or...?
Mainly because I can. For a bit of history, the team comes from the Virtual Formula Championship, which is a German racing league I've been driving since 2021. And I used to be a driver of the team and then got a hold of it, changed its name. The main sponsor was Blue Horns, but the name was different. And then when I took over, I just changed it to the sponsor name. Well, the fictional sponsor, of course. And I think you all also just got the reference to another real life team, and yeah, I mean that real life team is from Austria, and so why not Blue Horns as well? And that's basically it. It's just for narrative reasons, really.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. I'll pass over to Lorenzo or Carlos if either of those two have any burning questions to ask you.
Well, the car has changed significantly from the past seasons, I would say. Even setup-wise, there are most of the options are similar, but there are more options than the past years. Do you think this will represent a challenge, or it will not really make a difference overall?
I would say there are not more options, to be honest. It feels like there are less. Well,
there are actually.
There are actually. Okay. Seems like I have to do a bit more setup work then. But so far, the things we've changed to the setups are very simple, and it makes a difference immediately. And that's what's more important to me, and what feels different compared to last year. Because last year you had, I guess, less options, as you said, but it didn't make a difference, or that much of a difference. And now it does, at least from my feeling. And that's better, and I would say makes it easier. For me, at least.
I think one of the things is that compared to FS1, for example, the packers of the car, as there aren't there, makes the car like pretty straightforward. Like the car, you do one change and it correlates to that. And but you can find a lot of different stuff, and I'm curious to see what the teams think about the setup. And and it's curious always to hear what the team's findings are, so that's great.
Yeah.
I did mean to ask that this is your first season in GPVWC, obviously, and seeing as it's your first season, I'd assume that your expectations are not over the top, but what are your expectations for this season? Where do you expect to be finishing? Who do you expect to be battling? Anyone in mind that you would like to have a friendly rivalry with, etc., etc.?
It isn't my first season here, actually.
Well, I mean Blue Horns as a team.
Okay, yeah. Of course, yeah. As I said, earlier, I would love to have the team in a top 10 standings at the end of the season. Personal goals are always maybe one podium, so that's what I'm aiming also for the team. So top 10 and maybe a podium if everything goes right, and I hope so. I hope it will.
Yeah, lovely.
Well, Jörn, thanks so much for talking to us. Great to hear from you, and yeah, great to hear the insights on yourself and the team. Best of luck for the rest of the test, and I'm sure we'll be hearing lots from you across the rest of the season.
I hope so, and I hope not the negative ones like last year. I aim to be a much more cooler and not that emotional, because it wasn't the best year last year.
Well, long off season, lots of practice, I'm sure. Thank you very much for talking to us, Jörn. Great to hear from you, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of the test.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to you as well.
Thank you very much. And that was Jörn Nick's team boss and driver over at Blue Horns. And well, as he said, hopefully not as much negativity as last year, but again, long off season, lots of practice being put in by these drivers. And well, anything can happen. We've seen it time and time again in GPVWC racing. A driver comes in to a new season with a fresh start and just sets the world alight. Should be interesting though. A lot of people waiting for an interview. I think we'll just give it a.
Who do we get in first?
Yeah, but I mean we've had Jörn come in and suddenly we've got Justin van der Smith and Domenico Scapelli and Craig Patterson all waiting. I think we'll just give it a moment while we just let's just talk amongst ourselves for a bit. There's still 40 minutes left in the session, plenty of time. Yeah, I think this is a good time to talk about the new car while we're here, of course. 2025, new car coming in based off of the new, or the more closely affiliated with Formula 3 regulations, shall we say, as we see someone burying it in the gravel trap coming into the final section there, as Massimiliano Roboli makes his way onto the main straight. Lorenzo, what would you say is what's to be excited about with this new car? Is it going to create better racing? Is it better to drive? I mean, Jörn was just saying that he prefers this car to last year's car. Is that something that you think is going to be a common theme?
I'll be quite honest, I'm not of the particularly well enough skill set to have driven the FS2 car this or last season, so I'm not quite sure how they handle. But if the FS2 car is obviously new, but I think it will be depending on each driver how they find the car. Obviously, we had tests during the off season. A couple of drivers would get together on days and test the cars. We had a couple of new versions of car with the updates coming out, so that the drivers could adjust the car. The car will be more approachable to drivers, is what I mean. So yeah, there's been quite a couple of tests during the off season to make the car better for the drivers. So hopefully in the end the car is in the end product better for the drivers. And yeah, I don't quite know what to say. I'm not particularly great with the tech side of the things.
I can help you out because I've driven the car in some of the tests.
Oh, here comes the Super League driver. Here we go.
No, but yeah. I tried the car in one of the tests they did. They were trying to be very precise on the data they were obtaining regarding the slipstream, the dirty air, and also the feeling they had. And overall, the car felt, as Jörn was explaining before, it felt quite easy to actually drive. Although one of the inputs we gave, especially the people we were there testing, there was young Rambies testing in this test race. There was Sandeep, there was myself, and some other Super League drivers as well. And we felt like the car was pitching a lot. And I think with the latest updates that Robin Pansar did on the car, this was fixed, and overall the driving feels better. And it will end eventually. It will be a bit of the how do you aerodynamically want to set the car with the suspension. This comes at the end. This car has no no packers, so basically the suspension travel is like completely linear, and this means that basically you either optimize the slow corners or you either optimize the very high speed. So it will be very track dependent, but it will be pretty straightforward. So this is, I think, good for overall the drivers, and it will be, you will see more the skill set of the driver instead of like a setup difference. I don't think that it will be like a massive gap there. And then you can check set up the most basic things, right? Like the differential you can set also 2 different gearbox, and you only have 1 set of dry tires. You don't have 2 sets of dry tires like you might have in FS1, or you have multiple compounds like in Superlights or Super League. And here you just have 1 dry compound and 1 wet compound. So trying to make things easy and straightforward to the driver to be able to make the difference. I think overall, once the drivers get used to it, I think the gaps will be closer than last year by the nature of the car. And it was a car that encouraged you to be pretty smooth on the steering. It didn't want you to steer too much. But I think the drivers, you eventually just adapt your steering wheel settings, and you can actually adapt it to what you like the most, and it will be good overall. So we are in a good state that just the very last things are being set right now.
I have a team statement to read out. Well, maybe not that quite intense. Alice Stone, the team boss of Venus Motorsports, some things she wanted to say, but unfortunately she's not able to hop in for an interview, unfortunately. So before we get on to the millions of interviews we have waiting for us, including Sandeep Singh, for some reason he wants to speak to us. So I'll just read out what Alice has sent us on behalf of Venus Motorsports. She says that we're excited to take on this challenge. GPVWC is a very competitive series that requires a lot of commitment and practice. We're not expecting to be fighting for the championship this year, but instead our plans are to lay a good foundation for years to come. We have 3 dedicated drivers at our disposal, and I'm personally interested in seeing how all 3 of them grow. Great to hear from Alice and the Venus Motorsport squads. We're very excited to see how they can do across this year, and see, well, again, how the drivers can grow, how the team can progress going forward, not just this year, but in many seasons to come as well. 36 minutes left on the clock, or just, well, I said it, just under 37, should I say, in the opening preseason test of 2025. If you're just joining us, hello and welcome. This is GPVWC in 2025. This is the Formula Sprint 2 preseason test. And we'll just run through the order quickly for you. I've managed to somehow turn my screen off, so I can't actually read it out for you for a second. There he goes, back alive now. James Knox for Scapelli currently sits at the top of the table with a 1:35.758 as his best time. Joe Gilliland, P2, and Junio Lopez in P3. Kasper Koritz in P4. Ben Skinner is P5 with Mikhail Falcane in P6. The leading driver for Maples Vio, again, a triple Super League Championship team that haven't been in GPVWC since 2006. So trying to return to formal glory are they. Philip Travinsky is 7th with Kurt Rorschach in 8th for Rexelion. Craig Patterson is in P9 for Priority One Esports. We'll be speaking to him in a few moments, I'm sure, with Miguel Tamala in P10. Jack Mayer is 11th for Formula Champion here in for FS2 with Florin Haas in P12. Massimiliano Raboli is 13th with Charlotte Menick in 14th. Jonas Karula is 15th. Domenico Scapelli is 16th. Again, another driver waiting to speak to us with Josh Fuller in 17th. Shimon Kanner in 18th. Alfie Denley 19th. Johan Dix is in 20th. Thies Jongstra is 21st. David De Vries is 22nd. Bobby Valkanov is 23rd. Matthew Maple is 24th. Samuel Slavev is 25th. Niran Kumar is 26th. Justin van der Smissen is 27th. Another driver waiting to speak to us. We're very popular here at the moment. And as I say that, Kumar and van der Smissen, they've both been bumped down as Mark Matthias Wittmann. He moves up into 26th in the GPVWC Academy car. David Yunt is 29th with Caroline Harbigan 30th, and Magnus Ockenhaug, he's 31st. Hasn't actually set a lap in this test session yet. Tell you what, I'll leave it free rein. We've got 4 drivers waiting, or 4 GPVWC mainstay, shall I say? Because Sandeep Singh is not a driver in this series, and I don't know why he wants to be. But I'll let you two.
Are you sure about that?
Well, maybe if he has a bad year. Why don't you two decide amongst yourselves who wants to do the interview? Pick a person.
Well, I have Domenico Scapelli in my DMs asking me for the past couple of minutes when the interviews
Go
are
on,
going to be. So I feel like we should drag
Finish that.
Domenico in first. So let's get Domenico Scapelli on board with us, and we have Domenico Scapelli. Welcome to the interviews. Hi there. So, Formula Sprint 2 2025 preseason testing, and well, you've 17th currently, but I don't think we can expect you to be down there in the actual season, can we? Yeah, well, you're moving up from Academy Series last year. You've done mostly Academy Series, but last year, out of the 138 drivers that did Academy Series, you had the 15th highest point average, and if I remember correctly, you had the most podiums and fastest laps across the entire season. So, would you say you could potentially replicate your successes here in FS2, given the time?
I hate to jump in, but apparently, Domenico, we can't actually hear you on the stream. Yeah, so everything you've just said, so our cameraman Remco is just got to fix that very quickly.
Let's go!
Said, has been completely silent. So again, first broadcast of the year, we're still getting our teething problems out of the way so we can do the season properly. Lorenzo, Domenico, back to you. I think everything's fixed now.
Is it? Can we get a confirmation everything's fixed?
Do we restart the interview?
Let's rewind. Use a flashback. Use a flashback.
Let's just fast forward to the 2025 aspect. We can skip the most, what was it, podiums in Academy? We can skip that part.
Yeah, you said that you can't expect really who will be fighting for the championship, but do you have any expectations on who you as a team or you as a driver will be battling the most this season?
I mean, I'm pretty sure my teammate is gonna fight a lot. Most of the people think it's Jack Mayer, right? But it's not. I'm sorry to say that, but it's not Jack Mayer. It's actually it's Sandeep Singh. It's gonna be my teammate for the next season. One of the reasons probably why I had to step down is because of the driver's license prices that you need to pay in Super License League, because we got like a massive salary, a massive wage, so
yeah, probably Road to Formula couldn't afford it since it's a new team. Yep.
Maybe Sandeep decided to sacrifice his team, if you can say that, actually, like because he is the owner of of the team, so just now I just go in FS2 drive.
I mean, they got a better replacement, so they just need to announce it. Yeah.
You are the one who knows that, not me.
Oh.
No, probably not. I don't.
Sandeep always has a plan. Always.
Yeah. That's why he came down to FS2. He had the plan there, I guess. But yeah.
So, Dominic, besides yourself as a team and your teammate, who do you see challenging you mostly during this championship? Not only like I'm saying like you are gonna be the contenders, but who do you think is gonna be toe to toe as a team and as a drivers with you guys?
I mean, maybe as drivers, I feel like I can fight with Gert. It's my Estonian buddy. Gert, we can have a nice fight. Teams-wise, I don't really know. Because I don't really know the lineups and everything. But I feel like potential is gonna be there, like in the top 5, top 7. I don't know, around that. So, but as I said earlier, it's still too early because everybody can fight for everything. We're just unsure at the moment. We need to wait for the actual first round of this season to happen. That I might actually miss already, and that's not a great start for me. But I can't do anything about that.
Well, we hope for the very best for you and for potential GP, and then congratulations on signing Sandeep Singh because he's
I'm not
one
the
of the
manager.
references. Well, I mean, as
My-
you as a team, like not,
Oh, yeah.
not like you to you. I mean, I know you. We know you have a big ego, Domi, but come on, calm down, bro.
I got a big ego. What?
We're joking here.
I missed something, man.
We're joking here, but I think it's a really good lineup, and you can learn a lot from Sandeep. And well, he's being runner-up champion from Super Lights 2 consecutive years, so that's not a joke.
Yeah. Can I say hello to Joshua Dexter? He's currently in the field somewhere in the United Kingdom. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
He got lost somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hello,
like,
Josh.
like in
That
Warsaw.
sounds like Josh.
Yeah, like in Warsaw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those who know,
Wait.
know.
I don't know
Those who
that.
know.
The most committed anti-smoker that I know.
Yeah, I've seen a video of Jan
Well,
Granquist telling
I don't
Josh.
know what videos that you are talking about, or potentially. We'll leave it at that, shall we?
Potentially. Sorry, that was a bad. Yeah, no, those videos are definitely AI generated, right? They're not
of
real.
course, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That Batman looked really convincing.
Yeah, no, that video was legit, but other videos regarding Joshua Dexter were AI generated.
Fabricated.
If anyone
fabric.
is watching along and has no idea what we're talking about, this is your first time watching GPVWC. We do an annual meet-up at the end of the year called GPVWC Day. This year it was in Warsaw, and Josh just had a really, really good night. And we'll leave it at that, shall we?
I remember him in VC every day, guys, I'm not drinking, and then 2 minutes later I receive a picture from Vincent where he was having a shot of vodka, I guess. I don't know.
To be
No,
fair,
it was
I-
water. You know,
That was Photoshop? Oh, it
no,
was water,
no,
okay.
It was water. It
Oh,
was
okay. Okay,
I
okay.
was
might
with
be. To be fair, I might be linking up with Josh in a couple. Of, no, I'm talking to something completely different. Well, I'm linking up with Dylan Platt actually in a couple of weeks because I'm down where he is just by circumstance. So we'll get Josh Dexter along. We'll have a great night. We'll send it to everyone. But yeah, no, Josh Dexter, don't smoke, and we'll leave it at that. Any
Imagine
other-
if their parents are watching the stream right now.
Any other burning questions for Domenico Scapelli while we're here? I'll take that as an answer.
Yeah, I think we're all out of questions.
I guess the FS1 part is gonna come when there is the FS1 testing. Pretty sure.
We'll wait and see. Domenico, thanks very much for talking to us, mate. And,
Thank you.
We'll see you across the rest of 2025.
All right. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Oh, what an interview that was then. Yeah, let's move on, shall we? Who's up next? Justin van der Smith has been waiting for a while. Should we drag him into the commentary box again? We're very popular in the commentary box today. It's quite nice for this. Justin, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
Can they hear him though? I hope we don't have another Domenico
Let's
situation.
find out when the stream delay comes up on the chat and someone goes, we can't hear Justin van der Smith. Justin, good to hear your voice, my friend. Good to hear from you. How are you feeling so far through the pre-season test in Formula Sprint 2?
I mean, first of all, it's good to talk to you again after a pretty long time. But yeah, I mean, overall, spent a lot of laps driving. Got a feeling for the car. Tried to have a go with the setup as well. And together with David, just passing along our feelings of the car, seeing what our strategy would be for this season. But yeah.
Interesting to hear that. maybe not been the greatest test day for yourself so far. You're not particularly high up the order, to put it bluntly, but it's a test at the end of the day. What's the plan for VMS Sunedit's racing this year?
Well, I mean, I'm currently I've driven only on racing fuel, pretty high up as well, 48 liters. I did a stint on 30 liters. I did a stint, on, so I'm trying to get a feeling for the car for the Grand Prix distances. And in terms of the planning for the season, I think it's going to just be taking off the races one by one, trying our best for every Grand Prix, and yeah, try to get as many points as we can, and hopefully we are able to fight for a good position and maybe even for the championship.
Well, we wait to see what you can do across this year, and again, you know, if you're running race fuels, that's a good start to the year. How much work have you done over the off season, would you say? You know, coming to 2025, are you a new man, a new driver? You've just kind of got your head down. You're just looking to plod along through the season, or are you ready to move up in the GPVWC world?
Well, I mean, after last season and the season before, I mean, 23 was kind of an okay season with a podium and a few good point positions. Last season, yeah, it wasn't really my season, to be honest. Lots of DNFs, mistakes, things that were out of my power. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy the season as well for myself. So yeah, together with Gijs and with David, we decided to take a step back to FS2, maybe get a bit more fun back. But yeah, I mean, on the off season, I just probably spend my time relaxing a bit more and trying to clear my head of all the foolish seasons that I've had in the past, and trying to focus to make this one probably my best.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Any burning questions from Carlos or Lorenzo?
I do have a question actually, whether this return to FS2 after 1 year in FS1 was planned, and do you have any plans to return to FS1 after this, or maybe a couple more seasons in FS2?
Well, I think the determination to go higher up is always there, has always been. I mean, even with Super League, I was always happy to jump in the car for Stack if they needed a driver. Yeah, this season still doing the reserve driver role. Yeah, last season, like I said, FS1 wasn't really my best. I didn't really enjoy the season. In terms of the car handling, it was fine, I guess, but we just couldn't get our hands around the setup, which made it a lot more difficult for us than for anyone else. And I mean, I think maybe if the season goes well, then who knows, we might go up to FS1 again. But could also be that we will be here next season as well, and then we'll see after. But just gonna be yeah, for the season, a race by race ticking off, and then at the end of the season we'll see where we stand.
Any questions by you, Carlos?
Well, no questions, but I want to give you my support, Justin. We spoke in the last day of the 2024 season at the Young Drivers Test we had at Bahrain, and we heard about what you were explaining right now. I just hope for the very best. It's really difficult to go for a difficult season where you're struggling, and these mental difficulties are a thing. And I remember you also said you wanted to keep this reserve driver, test driver status, and I hope you found a team to keep that as well. I really hope you did.
Yeah, I'm still doing the reserve role for Stacks this season. I believe it's my 4th season in a row now. So, I mean, that's a really good place, and I'm quite happy with the environment I'm in with Stacks. Yeah, same goes with VMS. You know, I've helped Case build the team back in the day. Done a lot of GT driving, and then after a few seasons away at different teams, yeah, I just had some sort of sense to like get home in an environment I knew, the people I knew, who I was going to work with. So that really helped in like the mental aspect, to know that people will always be there and willing to help. But yeah, if you have a shit season, it's always hard to get your head back in the game. But I think with the off season, I did a pretty good job in clearing all the seasons until 21 out of my head and really focusing on this one.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
that's
wait and see what 2025 unfolds for you, Justin van der Smissen. Great to hear from you, mate, and yeah, best of luck for 2025.
Thank you, man.
Great to hear from yet another driver. We're very, very popular tonight. Justin van der Smissen, our latest victim to get into the commentary box. Got a fair few to get through. Apparently, Sandeep Singh doesn't actually want an interview. He's just chatting to Craig Patterson in the interview room. So I'm not sure what to do about that one. I've told him to
They're
stop
probably
talking.
playing Fortnite right now.
It wouldn't surprise me. There's not a Liverpool game on, so Sandeep's clearly bored. I mean, who else can we drag in? There's 18 minutes left. There's still a fair few people to get through. We could try and drag in. If there's
Matthew Maple.
Matthew Maple, yeah. Should we bring Matthew Maple in? Let's bring Matthew Maple in. I'll put him in the green room first in case he's mid conversation, so he knows to get ready, and then I'll drag him in. Matthew Maple, if you can hear us.
Hello.
Well, hello, you can hear us. First of all, welcome back to GPVWC.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats, and to make you feel really old, the last time you were in GPVWC, I was 2.
Wow. That's depressing.
So, sorry about that. But yeah, welcome back. Yeah, FS2 2025. What's brought you back? What's brought the team back? What's inspired this?
I mean, I've obviously had a good year getting back into it last year with Academy, and had some good chats with Menno and Willie and others, and just decided it was time to bring it back. Really, really like GPVWC. Obviously, the fact that it's been going for as long as it has now proves its pedigree and the standard, and really enjoy being involved in it, and I think having a team and bringing it at FS2 level was the right thing to do.
So you guys are three-time Super League champions. You've got the heritage, you've got the history, you've got the performance in the past, but that was quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
What's the game plan getting back into it? Are you looking to get back up there as quickly as you can? Are you looking to straight away be fighting for championships, or is this year kind of a bit more of a relearning year almost? Get back into the ropes, kind of get back into GPV, get back into sim racing, and just see what you can do.
I think it's definitely the latter. I mean, the directive to the drivers has been just consistency over anything else. I think we know that Michael's fast, but perhaps he's he's quite new still to sim racing, especially GPV, and I think he's we've kind of said to him, if you just work on finishing races, then I think over the season the results will come. Sam's extremely motivated. He practices really hard, and I think he's got a lot of potential. He proved that towards the end of the season in Academy, especially in Brazil. So I think we just want to get back into it, be consistent, be there. If Michael and Samil can complete the whole season, then I think that would be a win. And I think we may surprise people with some of the results as the season progresses.
So is there a long-term map for you guys at Mapes VO, or is it kind of just a take it as it comes sort of affair?
No, I think we're certainly committed, and we'll see where it goes. But as I say, the message to the drivers has really been to focus on consistency over results at the start, and obviously prove that we're worthy of the license, and that it was the right choice to give us the opportunity to return after all this time. And who knows where that can take us in the future.
We'll wait and see. Lorenzo, Carlos, burning questions for Matthew potentially.
I mean, it's extremely interesting that such an historic team comes back to GPVWC. As Ross said, he was 2 years old. I was a bit older than that. I was 12, but I still didn't made my my sim racing debut, which I made like 4 years later than that. So I'm extremely excited to see the development and how is it that after 19 years of absence in GPVWC, how is it that it comes up the idea, let's come back, and what are the long-term goals for the team?
Well, I think I've always followed it from afar. I mean, obviously, I've just missed a big chunk in the middle, but I've always followed it from afar, and I think it got to a stage where we had the time and the resources to get involved again. I mean, on a personal level, I'd never really driven R Factor 2. Obviously, when we did GPV back in the day, it was on Grand Prix 4. I don't know if any of you know the Jeff Crammond game, and it was offline as well. So you'd race offline, you'd do your you'd upload your files and it would all be accrued together. So I missed the whole kind of transition to R Factor and online racing. But on a personal level, I really enjoyed getting into iRacing over the last few years. And yeah, obviously it's naturally led on to R Factor and back to GPV. I mean, as I said before, in terms of the ambitions, I think in the short term, finish races, and as the season progresses, I feel like we've got some speed within the team to get some good results. I mean, Michael's ambitions himself are extremely high, but I mean, if you just look at the tests now, you've got 19 cars within just a second of each other. I mean, it was 22 cars within 9/10 until Ben just went a little bit quicker. So it's extremely competitive, and I think if you can grab podiums and high results this season, then you've done really, really well.
What are these high ambitions? I'm curious about that. I'm very curious.
I mean, I think in the long term, Michael feels that he's got the potential to be a world champion. And I think we're within the team. We've got no doubt that he's got the speed over a lap. But we talk about age and experience. I think the counsel that we give him is, just focus on getting some consistency, and your speed will show itself over the distance of a race and the distance of a season. So, I think, the sky is potentially the limit.
It's great to hear. That's great with this ambition, and it's fantastic. So, first of all, congratulations on being back. You and feel very welcome in GPVWC, and the best of lucks for the season.
Thank you, guys. Nice to speak to you, and hopefully I'll be speaking to you again as the season progresses.
Great to hear from you, Matthew. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got a lot of people still waiting for interviews. I think we're looking at the time as well. We're running out and looking at who's available. I think we might just have time quickly for Craig Patterson and Ed Hunter, because I know they've been waiting for a while. And that might be it. So apologies to anybody else that was waiting for one to talk us through what they're going through. Let's drag Craig Patterson in.
Well, hey.
Well, hey. That means that he can hear us. Craig, great to hear from you.
Hello, hello.
With the time left in the session, it's going to have to be quite a quick one.
Quick fire. Let's do it.
Quick fire. How you feeling?
Good. Yeah. Obviously, time's not great. 7/10 off, but I'm not looking too much into that. It's only Imola, and we're not racing there, so yeah. Apart from that, I feel good.
That's great to hear.
Next question.
You've had some success. You've had some success in this series prior.
Yes.
What's the plan in 2025?
Can I beat P3? Oh God, that's a good one. That'll be tough. I feel strong again this year. Looking at the top 10, potentially anyone in that top 10 could win it. It's going to be tough, but I'll give it my best. We'll see what happens.
So just kind of get in the car, go fast, win races, win championship.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, screw everyone else, and yeah, just focus on myself. We'll see. I'm not going to sound big-headed and say I'm going to win it, but I'd like to. but we'll see.
Let's see. Carlos, Lorenzo, any burning questions for Craig?
Well, Craig, you are already a veteran of the series, I would say.
I'm not that old.
It said veteran of the series. I didn't say old. I am probably older than you. What do you mean?
Oh, we'll see. How old are you?
30.
Okay, add another 8 onto that then. I'm older.
Should we do it?
Yeah, you're older.
It's sad. Oh, my lord.
But being older doesn't mean like
I know.
going backwards on anything. Like
I know.
I think your most valuable asset is precisely this experience and this consistency you have over the rest of the field.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's how you make it, and I think with the proper just building an effort, you can improve your results even further from last year. I think what this field brings, there is a lot of speedsters, I would say, but I think your consistency is very valuable in a series like FS2 and even FS1. So I think you will be up there and just picking the points and picking podiums and maybe some victories here, 2 or 3 victories, maybe 4.
That would be nice.
And then you would be up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, last year, I knew when to pick battles and when to fight, not to fight. Like you said, that all comes from years of experience. What I've been with GPV since 2018, so I've been sim racing probably 10 years now. So yeah, you get that experience and you know when to fight and when not to fight. And yeah.
Just one mention, you will get a rival this year in FS2 that has a lot of experience and consistency as well, which is Omari Watson. And he fast. You know he fast.
Yeah, I've raced against Amari on the odd occasion. We get on well, so there'll be a rivalry there. He'll definitely be someone to watch out for this year as well. I know he's not playing laps tonight, but yeah, he'll definitely be one to watch, and I relish the challenge against Amari.
Oh yeah, say hello to him from my side.
We've just been chatting a little bit on Discord, so yeah.
So that's all from me, guys.
Lorenzo, anything from you?
I just realized I had my microphone off for the entire time. That's why my question to Matthew was not heard earlier. But my question to Craig is that last year, 2024, Priority 1 got top 5, 5th place exactly.
Yeah.
In the team standings. Do you think you can replicate that this season, or maybe aim higher for the top 3 potentially?
I'd like to go definitely higher in the teams. I know, obviously, Jonas, my teammate, he struggled a lot beginning of the last season with finding pace, but his pace definitely picked up towards the end of the season. He was sometimes even quicker than me over some races, so if he can keep that up, I definitely want to see us try to even break into the top 3 of the team's championship as well. Again, we shall see what happens when we all line up on the grid in Melbourne.
True.
We shall wait. Thanks for talking to us, Craig.
No worries, have a good one. Thanks for commentating and appreciate your time.
Great to hear from Craig Patterson there, a former FS2 racer. I think we do have time very quickly just to drag Ed Hunter in, because he has been waiting a while. So we'll quickly speak to him before we kind of stick to ourselves and wrap up. Ed, if you can hear us.
Yeah,
hello.
Hear us.
Well, great to hear from you, Ed. Welcome back to GPVWC in 2025. What brings you to our humble commentary role?
As it happens, I'm a team owner. I'm also very recently president of another Factor 2 open wheel Formula Sim Racing Championship.
That name is forbidden here. We don't say that name here. No, I'm joking.
Okay, right.
Hashtag ad. Hashtag ad.
We all feed from the same trough. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Campaign is over. Campaign is over. You already won.
Oh, there was nobody else ran, so it wasn't.
You don't say that. Come on. You just need to. You need to feel it in the gut, like, well, the United States president, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my Trump impression isn't very good. So anyway, yeah, I'm excited. We had a really fun time last season, and we're back for more. I'm really excited because I really feel like we've got everything in place to be a really competitive team this season. Last season we had a horrible start, and then we got it together by the end. So hopefully this season we're a little bit more consistent from the beginning.
I mean, looking at your driver lineup over at Hunter Birch Simulation, Ed, I mean, Magnus Ockenhaug, Joe Giller, that's a very, very strong pairing straight out of the gates. So you're clearly going aggressive this season. You've got two very strong drivers. I'm not going to say are you aiming for the stars, but you've clearly got some good objectives for this year.
Yeah, last year it was sort of a case of, well, we really, really want to finish in the top 10, and we had a really bad opening couple of rounds, and we thought, all right, well, that's going to be a bit tricky now. And then in the end, we just about beat Reading Game, that was our sort of parent team at the time, to Ape. So I was really proud of that. I think Joe, Demir, everyone else at the team as well did a really, really good job across the course of that season. And yeah, Joe, with me having my other duties this season, Joe has sort of taken up the team manager sort of duties as well, sort of increasing that. I'm still involved as well. I mean, I'll tell Joe what I want to happen, and it's his job to sort of make sure it happens on track as well. But it shows the level of trust, I guess, that I have in him, and I think it works really well. With Magnus, we saw what he did at Optiminal last season. He seems like a really, really good foil for Joe. They get on really well. He's got the right kind of attitude, the right level of commitment, and I think that's going to make a big difference as well. He's had to arrive sort of midway through this test, but he's been the big one that was behind this livery as well. He really wanted, he says, let's make it like Lotus. Let's make it like Lotus. And Doug Hilliard's like, okay, I'm doing as best I can. And he's come up with something I think that's really, really nice that sort of blends the two identities together. So yeah, Magnus and Joe, I think, dare I say it's the dream team, really. But yeah, I think all our competitors, we've got a lot of new teams that I'm really, really excited about facing as well. I'm never shy about the competition. I don't want it to be too easy in FS2, and it rarely is as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the likes of Venus and all these other teams, Reading Game coming back as well, RNG that were a thorn in our side last season as well, and you know, all the returning and new teams as Magnus. Oh, there's a lovely power slide at Piratella as well. I think Joe did that, and he's doing it again.
Top of the hill there, that's wonderful.
Yeah, sight to behold. Shows he's got some good car control, I guess. But Magnus, I think, is overdriving a little bit because he's not had a whole lot of time to sort of put the setup and everything together. He's sort of relied on what Joe and David, who I think is... David wasn't originally supposed to do the third car. It was going to be Caroline. And then Alice Stone messaged me and said, oh, could we use Caroline? And I thought, you know what, why not? Who am I to break up the female super team? So I think it's brilliant for sim racing and for GPV as a whole, because all of them are just fantastic. I get along really well with all of them. And Charlotte, also another driver that was part of our team last season, scored a few points at Singapore. So, you know, as much as I want my drivers to do well, a part of me is going to be cheering them on, as long as they're not directly competing against us, if you understand.
Yeah, very understandable.
Sorry, Carl. Yeah, just
go.
looking at the time.
One at a time, boys. One at a time.
Yeah.
Quick fire burning questions from Carlos or Lorenzo before we go.
I mean, do you think, my question is very straightforward, do you think this season has to be a breakout season for Joe because of the seasons he has had so far in FS2? Do you think this is the year for Joe?
I certainly think he's got everything he needs to have a really, really strong year. He was top 7 last season in the standings. Our aim in the teams is we're looking at top 4, top 5 sort of territory. And I think Joe and Magnus are both going to be consistently in the points, although David's spinning around stream as I say that and losing both wings certainly
Formula 4 style.
It's not the best omen. It's not the best omen to see. It looks more like classic Team Lotus now, doesn't it? Jim Clark.
Absolutely.
Very Jim Clark from David Yen.
Well, Ed, great to hear from you, my friend. And yeah,
You too.
well, we'll be seeing what Hunter Birch Simulation can do across the rest of the season. Thanks very much for talking to us.
Time to party.
Great to hear that. We've somehow, with the interviews, time has flown by. We're now 30 seconds away from the end of this test. Yeah, time's just absolutely flown by. Lorenzo, it's been a very interesting test. I think it's safe to say, with a lot of insights from a lot of different people. But just looking at the timings as well, as the checkered flag is sure to come out in a few moments' time. Looking at where drivers are falling, again, you can't take everything from a pre-season test, but it's a good way to kind of get a benchmark to where we think people are going to be this season.
Yeah, and we can tell already that the field is very, very bunched together. The top 13 are all within 1 second of each other. The top 19 are all within a second and a half of each other. So yeah, the field is very, very strong this season, and I think that some of the people currently here are in positions that people were not expecting them to be in. For example, Shimon Kanda, who we're on board with currently, P11, also set the purple sector 2, although I don't think he's quite interested in completing his lap. Maybe he messed up quite earlier in the sector 3. But Ben Skinner, who I did mention earlier, who proved himself when he came into FS2, has finished this session in first place. So yeah, I would say that I still stand by my point of Team RNG being a strong contender for this year. Casper Kuritz, James Knox all up there as well. Joe Gillette also up there. That's to be expected, of course. Michael Falkenhayn, P5. Well, he's shown that he is very, very quick on one lap pace, but I've driven against him in academy, if I remember correctly, and he is, yes, very fast on one lap pace, but sometimes he has a slight lapse in concentration and he just loses everything that he worked for. I think it happened in FS2 Kota last season as well, where he was running quite high up in race 1, I would like to say it was, and he had a bit of a lapse in concentration and spun and fell down the order. But I think if we're to judge anything from Matthew and his comments, that his determination is really up there and that he will strive to improve himself, his everything really, and I think we can expect to see more of him as well. Mikhail Tumala also up there, also to be expected. Philip Chavinsky, good outing for him as well. Jonas Carola, as Craig said, improved through the season last year, and I think we might be seeing more of him in the upper parts of the grid as well, both in qualifying and in the races. And I don't know who else I've missed out on, honestly, from the people who are here and the people who are not here. But yeah, I think that the field this year is, well, definitely the strongest since I've joined, but I've joined last year, so I'd argue you two know more than I do, but yeah.
Well, we'll wait and see. Unfortunately, it's done that classic R Factor 2 thing where everyone's left right at the end of the session and the server has slightly lost its mind and we can't quite see the full standings, unfortunately. But it was Ben Skinner who was fastest from James Knox, from Casper Koritz, your top 3, and a lot of other drivers in the mix as well. So you can see the sort of top 10 there, but again, some of those drivers are a bit further down in reality. A few drivers left the session. And that's what we're seeing. Classic R Factor 2. It's an old game. It's getting old now.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So we got the rest of the drivers coming in now. So it's sort of fixed itself. So we can see some other drivers in there again. We heard a few drivers preferring to do long fuel runs, which you don't often see in a preseason test. So very interesting to see that. A lot of the times preseason tests here in GPVWC, you end up just getting hot lap sessions. So interesting to see that the people that we're seeing that are quite far off the pace, you can almost guarantee they were doing long runs and almost race pace style sessions. So interesting to see that, but a lot of drivers in there that, again, it kind of puts an indicator on where we're expecting to see people this season in Formula Sprint 2. And as you said, Lorenzo, a very, very strong Formula Sprint 2 group, perhaps the strongest we may have ever seen for what is the first step onto the GPVWC career ladder. Just absolutely outrageous stuff. That is it for the opening preseason test for GPVWC in 2025. Carlos Martin, anything to say on that?
Well, we're looking forward for this season. I think it will be very competitive, and I think it will be interesting to unfold all the hidden pace and the hidden talent that we don't see yet. The beautiful thing from FS2 is that many new drivers are entering, and many new good options for the future might be able to see here, and this will mix with a lot of mixed experienced drivers that are very proven, as we mentioned, Craig, Omari, Sandeep. So really excited for that.
We shall wait and see. Well, thank you very much for joining us for the opening pre-season test of 2025, the first GPVWC action of 2025. Of course, Formula Sprint 2, they'll get racing in about a month's time. We've got a few more pre-season tests head your way. Of course, Formula Sprint 1, Superlight Super League, they will all be coming up over the next couple of weeks. And then we will get going properly with our racing action. But until then, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for kicking off 2025 in a very, very fun way. Thanks to everyone that we got to interview as well. Apologies to those that we weren't able to drag in. Again, time just suddenly flew away, and suddenly it was 3 minutes left in the session. There were still 3 people we hadn't yet spoken to. But them's the breaks, as they say. Still great action out there on track today, and an interesting marker, an interesting way to scope ahead for 2025. Thank you for joining us for the pre-season test in Formula Sprint 2 in 2025. These guys, they'll be seeing you in a month's time as they get started for their season campaign.
Thank you.